Throughout human history, there have been many lost civilizations that have left traces, but only now are we beginning to understand what they actually knew. One of these advanced civilizations mastered the secrets of sound and energy and left its codes in the stones of Egypt. They call themselves the Hathors. A year ago, during meditation, I received a message about my reincarnation in a parallel reality in ancient Egypt. And there I heard the name Serabit el-Khadim, along with two others. Only a week ago, while I was already preparing this video, I found out that this is a real archaeological site on the Sinai Peninsula, whose name is Serabit el-Khadim. And guess what? There was a temple there dedicated specifically to the goddess Hathor, where some of the oldest engraved inscriptions on stone have been found. Exactly the same thing I saw. But who actually are the Hathors? Where do they come from? What is their connection to us? And what are they challenging us to remember? Welcome. In May 1996, in the United States, a manuscript appeared that would forever change our understanding of ancient history and human potential. Its authors are the psychotherapist Tom Kenyon and the researcher Virginia Essen. But the true source of the information inside claims that it is not of this world. A group of interdimensional beings, masters of sound and energy, who claim to have been present in our history for millennia. They are not seeking a cult or followers. On the contrary, they bring messages about a lost technology of consciousness that was at the foundation of the greatest civilizations, from Lemuria and Atlantis to ancient Egypt. Today, friends, we will take a look and I will introduce you to the Hathor material. This is a book that is not just an ordinary channeled message or esoteric text, but a historical and scientific mystery. Who are these beings? Why do they claim that Venus and Sirius are their homes? And what codes have they left in the stones of Egypt, which only today, in the era of quantum physics, we are slowly beginning to understand? Well, in order to understand the Hathors, we first need to understand the person who becomes their channel. We know Bashar, we know Abraham Hicks, and many of you already know Jane Roberts. But Tom Kenyon is not an ordinary medium. He is an expert in psychoacoustics with a vocal range of 4.5 octaves. In 1996, he published information that was telepathically transmitted to him by a council of 10 beings. They claim to exist in the fourth dimension of our universe and describe themselves as our elder brothers and sisters in terms of consciousness. Their story sounds like science fiction, but the details are strikingly accurate. The Hathors, or Hathors, claim that their original home is in another universe, from where they entered ours through the portal of Sirius. Their first physical home here was in the Sirius system, but later they settled on Venus to be closer to Earth and to help with our evolution. You must be wondering what they look like. That's the most interesting part when discussing ancient civilizations. On the surface, however, according to their descriptions in their condensed form, as they call it, they are humanoids between 3 and 4 meters tall, with large heads and very specifically developed ears. Like the pictures from temples to this day in Egypt, where at the top, very interestingly, at the top of the temples. Such findings have still survived in the way they depicted them, but it's important to emphasize their true nature: light. They are a civilization that has understood the fundamental truth of the cosmos. Besides the fact that as above, so below, that matter is simply vibration at a different tone, their strongest connection to our past is ancient Egypt. They claim that they were actively working there around 10,000 years before Christ in the pre-dynastic period, long before the time of the pharaohs. They worked through the cult of the celestial goddess Hathor, who for the Egyptians was a symbol of love, ecstasy, and music. Only a small part of their knowledge has remained in Egypt, encoded in the esoteric mystery schools. One of these locations is the temple in Dendera, Official Egyptology dates the current structure to the Ptolemaic period, but beneath it lie crypts that hold evidence of technology incompatible with that era. In the same way that I tremble to tell you about this ancient civilization, I also tremble as the tour comes to an end. For my book Touching Reality, with only my hometown Plovdiv and Sofia left. Plovdiv on May 17th at 4 p.m. in Park Hotel St. Petersburg Paldin Hall, and Sofia on the 18th on Monday the next day at 5 p.m. in the Sofia City Library in the American Center Hall. Entrance is free. Come meet us in person and let's finish the tour the way it's been going so far. With lots of smiles, lots of love, lots of emotions, experiences, courage, and sharing. Thank you for being part of my journey. And those of you who want to and still haven't gotten your hands on Touching Reality, you can do it down in the description and discover it for yourselves. What is meant for you in it. Why would beings from Sirius choose Egypt specifically, and what did they know about human DNA that we are only now discovering? In the next part, we will enter the forbidden crypts of Dendera to see the evidence of the Hathor's acoustic technology. Technology that, according to them, can heal the body and open portals between worlds. It's good to reflect, it's good, because that's exactly why these stories come. Here's the personal story I started with. I don't meditate specifically about ancient Egypt, you see? It's just another morning. I close my eyes, and then at one point I see myself in some kind of temple, surrounded by stone walls, seen up close. Literally, from my point of view, I see myself engraving specific symbols on one of these walls, and with my other hand, I'm shining a light, like with a very, very small torch. And the rest of the room is dark, empty, as if a fog has fallen. It's darkness, a dungeon, and very carefully, stone by stone, symbol by symbol, I'm engraving something, some kind of message. Right then, 3 words passed through my mind: Serabit, el-Khadim, and al-Kaif, and when I went to check afterwards what they meant. Now, as I was preparing the episode a few days ago, it turned out that Serabit Khadim is one of the most significant archaeological sites in southwestern Sinai, Egypt. It combines ancient industry, religious cult, and most importantly, some of the first steps of the alphabet we use today. This was a major center from which the Egyptians extracted turquoise, and the precious stone was called the milk of the gods and was vital for the jewelry and decoration of the pharaohs. And the most exciting thing written about Serabit Khadim is that inscriptions have been found that are not in standard hieroglyphs. At that time, working side by side with the Egyptians, the Canaanite miners borrowed Egyptian symbols. Notice, but they gave them a new meaning. They used them to represent sounds, not whole words or idols. In other words, the mysteries of sound are embedded there. And it's very curious because when I dug deeper, the word el-Khadim literally means the ancient or the original. Here's another word for the beginning or for the first time: Zeptepi, the time before times. The first time, which you can still see depicted today in the temple at Dendera. See how interestingly everything is connected. And the other word I heard, al-Kailiv, is a specific word. It doesn't translate literally. It describes a state of consciousness, a certain vibration, or again a primordial essence. The inner chambers of Serabit el-Khadim were exactly as I saw them in meditation. Narrow, darkened, lit only by oil lamps. That's what they're called. And right there, on the raw stone, ancient scribes and initiates carved the first symbols in history to communicate with Hathor. When we put all this together, these messages from meditation, from the energy world, they're not just a text, they're not just imagination. They become a memory of a specific state. Here it is, a decoding of the message in the temple of Serabit el-Khadim. I, the Ancient One, in this state of consciousness, engrave these symbols. Do you understand what it means that the Hathors have been here for millennia? Their intervention is clear. It's not just locked away in some dusty old books. This is literally recorded in our cellular memory, and that memory from meditation shows me that we are remembering. And if I can touch that kind of vibration for just a few minutes, what would happen if we practiced this every day, if more and more of us stood up and shared these stories? This was confirmation that the information from millennia, meditation from the energy world, from the informational field, once again turned out to be perfectly accurate. Because I really didn't know what this strange word was, and the moment I looked it up, it turned out to be a complex related to the cult of the goddess Hathor. That really is extraordinary. When we talk about extraterrestrial civilizations, books and movies have taught us how to imagine them. The last way is metal flying saucers, laser weapons, the apocalypse comes, the end of the world, and so on. But according to the materials of Tom Kenyon, the Hathors operate on a completely different technological level. They are described as masters of sound and energy. And to understand this technology, we need to trace their path to Earth. Their journey is not simply overcoming linear distances. The Hathors themselves explain that they came from another universe, using Sirius as a portal, and for them, Sirius is a crossing point where our space-time continuum intersects with what they call non-physical hyperspace. And as complicated as it may sound to us, upon entering our reality, they head to Venus, settling in its etheric spheres to be closer to us. They consider Earth and Venus to be sister planets, which have been closely connected since their very inception. Here, astrologers will help explain why Earth and Venus are connected. So, answer below in the comments what you know about Venus and Earth, and if you don't know, look it up and leave a comment. But how do they travel between these worlds? The answer lies in sound. For the Hathors, what we call sound is the fundamental vibration of reality. According to them, sound is not just the physical wave we hear with our ears, but a vibration that can exist even in a vacuum. In their view, sound is the supreme essence and the foundation of all reality. They go even further, making a revolutionary claim. Matter is simply vibration with a different kind of tone, nothing more. Therefore, if you change the harmony of the tones, you can turn matter into energy and vice versa. In fact, that's what the ancient alchemists did, and that's what the Knights Templar knew. If you look at their pursuit of these ancient symbols and artifacts, which were charged with such a great amount of energy, they believed they could change the course of history. One such object is the Ark of the Covenant. Their spacecraft for exploring space were built on exactly this principle. They are based on sound and vibration. Sounds like ancient magic, doesn't it? And as I speak, you hear it down below me or around me, channeled, pouring out. Especially for this episode, I'll even leave you a bit of the music. Listen for 30 seconds. It sounds like ancient magic, but modern quantum physics is starting to sound scary. Similarly, science has already discovered that our physical body is made up of more than 99.999% empty space. When the Hathors look at us from their dimension, they don't see solid matter. They perceive us as a walking, moving galaxy of stars where each atom is a solar system. And here comes the most important part of their teaching, for us humans to work with this vibrational reality. It is necessary to understand our energetic anatomy, what we are as energy. The Hathors teach us that deep within our physical field, there exists a second energy field called the pranic body. They call it the Ka, the etheric twin of our physical body. In order to nourish the Ka, they say we use something called the pranic tube. This is not our spinal column. It is an energy channel that is a straight line descending from the top of the head through the center of the body all the way down to the core of the earth. According to the Hathors, this tube is the key to our health and consciousness. If we learn to circulate life force or prana through this channel, we literally power our walking galaxy of cells. In our membership, there are sound meditations that heal in a similar way, and there are exercises in the book, the Hathor material, that you can try. With this pranic tube, which is made of light, it can expand, it can contract, and in this way, you can strengthen your connection with what is meant for you and what comes most naturally and vibrationally to you. These things are absolutely possible. This is what happens when we do these exercises more often. Anyone can respond by doing them enough times. If you think this is just abstract esotericism, you're mistaken. According to the Hathors, this consciousness technology was taught in a very practical way in the secret schools of Egypt. They give a strikingly concrete example of using real metal rods of power, which we often see in esotericism. The famous was scepter, as shown in hieroglyphic images, was not just a symbol of power, as it is often described. According to the Hathors, it is a tool for energy work. The priests would place these metal scepters along the back of the initiate and then strike them to produce a sound. Just like we use a tuning fork today. This precise sound created resonant patterns that forced the life force, called sekhem by the Egyptians, to rise up the spine. This activated the electromagnetic field of consciousness, known as Kundalini, unlocking higher levels of awareness. This is essentially high-tech acoustic engineering aimed at transforming a person into a multidimensional being. Many processes are beneath what we usually perceive when we practice something or when something is being described to us. And you will see over time that it becomes increasingly difficult to describe things with words. The most natural thing is to experience them. That is why this type of knowledge exists. They do not impose, the Hathors do not impose in any way. But they say that if we want to move forward in the spiral of our development, it is good to pay attention to the energy within ourselves, to how it moves. To start seeing it, not just imagining it, to feel it, and in this way by expanding it to see its influence as well. To also see what is happening around us, what it is, and accordingly to know how to preserve it. If this knowledge is as ancient and as powerful as it is described, why is it being revealed to the general public right now? Why are these beings speaking again after millennia of silence? Do these ancient vibrations have anything to do with the strange changes that the climate, our planet, and even our own DNA are currently undergoing? In the next part, we will look at channeling and hear the urgent messages from the Hathors about the future of the human race. And believe me, it's really worth thinking deeply when we hear these words. If the Hathors were present in ancient Egypt thousands of years ago, why do they decide to break their silence right now? Why? In January of 96, exactly on the day when the planet Uranus enters the sign of Aquarius, do they choose to deliver their messages through Tom Kenyon? Their answer is that, in their view, Earth is in a monumental and historic period of transition. We are moving from an old way of organization to a new, higher vibrational one. For the Hathors, this process is not just spiritual growth, it is a biological and energetic transformation that affects every cell in our bodies. To understand this type of channeling, it is necessary to forget about spiritual seances from the past. Those kinds of spiritual connections that tell us exactly how something is supposed to happen or how information is supposed to be conveyed. The information flows constantly. It is necessary to forget the formulas and specific rules and to look within ourselves to see what exactly we resonate with the most. And through our free will, through our honesty and our right and the clarity that we always choose from a range of possibilities, whether to accept and receive this information without judging it, and by allowing partial solutions for addressing the problematic point. With his experience in psychotherapy and the study of brain states, describes this process as a telepathic connection with a dull awareness that does not exist. This is a leader named Hathor. They are not messiahs or saviors. They themselves say, "We are your older brothers and sisters who live in the fourth dimension of your universe." Their analysis of the state of our planet today is very accurate. The Hathors say that Earth is in a state of chaos before a new order. When a system moves to a higher level, it first goes through a period of maximum disturbances. That's exactly what we're experiencing right now, with economic instability and climate anomalies, which they say are a reflection of our collective emotional state. And I would add, it's also a reflection of our collective thinking, the way we think. It is still about our attachment to old programs and the ways we stay hooked on old beliefs about the world. That something has to be this way and there's simply no other way, that he is just like that or he isn't like that. How much have we really allowed ourselves to open up? How truly honest have we been with those around us and with those against us? And can we really guess what exactly will happen if that change starts from within us first? Usually it's a big surprise. The Hathors are warning us about something that science is only now beginning to take seriously, the devitalization of the earth. They claim that the oxygen content in the air has dropped from 30% in the past to just 18% today. This reduces the flow of prana, the life force that keeps our consciousness awake. But the most exciting message is related to our DNA. According to Kenyon's materials, in our current state, humans use less than 1/3 of their genetic potential. These 2/3, which scientists often call junk DNA, are actually, they say, molecular gateways to human memory and higher abilities. The Hathors claim that through sound and love, as a vibrational field, we can activate these codes. Spontaneously and suddenly, we begin to remember, as I told you about Serabit el-Khadim. They do not ask for our faith, they offer us tools. They remind us that we are the neurons in the brain of a living planet. And if we start serving life instead of just ourselves, our destiny will change instantly. But how do we do all this without fear? How do we not worry? How do we not blame ourselves? The Hathors give us specific stabilization practices that were used in Egypt during times of crisis. We all have such moments, and there's no way we can always be in our power. We are always in our power, but in those moments, somehow our mind creates the impression that we are not in our power. And in just a moment, I'll show you how you can test this power of sound yourself and how to use the pranic tube to turn fear into pure energy. Before we move on to a small part of this practical knowledge that the Hathors have left us, it's necessary to hear some of their words in their purest form. In the book, they don't speak as commanders or deities, but as beings who know the path that we are just beginning to walk. Let's hear their words about who they are and why they have chosen us specifically. We are your brothers and sisters who live close to you. But nevertheless, we will not interfere either in the choices you make or in your evolution, because that is your free will. We want to make it clear that we are not your saviors, we are not messiahs. They remind us that even though they vibrate at a higher frequency, we are all part of the same mystery and love that connects all worlds. However, one of their deepest messages is related to the way we perceive ourselves and the universe. Because isn't it a joke that the infinite can place itself within the finite? It's like taking the sky, putting it in a glass jar, and all the while thinking that you are the glass jar. Until one day the jar breaks and the sky is free. This sky they're talking about is our consciousness. The Hathors reveal that the earth is not just a rock in space, but a living being going through its own process of ascension. She also feels, she also trembles. And in this process we are key. The millions of beings on this planet are part of a greater life, an expression of a greater mind. Yes, for the earth, you are like neurons, living in a very important moment in the history of this planet's consciousness. Something is happening that has never happened before. Love more, forgive more, and understand that love is not just a means of comfort. It is a real energetic force that will lead you into the deepest, most vibrant space of stability. Love heals everything it touches. Love opens doors that were closed until then. These messages, just like in the book, you will see there are also specific codes. They are access codes to a hidden reality that was known to the priests in Dendera, in Atlantis, in Lemuria. And now, as we slowly begin to understand their philosophy, it's time to add their techniques as well. To understand how we can use our own biology, what is already within us, as an antenna for the cosmos. Everything we've discussed so far, the mysteries in Dendera, the journeys from Sirius, the changes in our DNA, could be described as just a beautiful story. If there wasn't also a practical application, isn't that what we always want? And that's exactly why they've left us exercises and instructions on how to start doing these kinds of things, to feel them. According to their teaching, each one of us is not just flesh and blood. We are literally, as they say, a walking symphony. And in this moment of global chaos and climate change, they give us an ancient tool for stabilization. Something that the Egyptian priests kept in the strictest secrecy. This is the pranic tube. This tube, as we said, is an energy channel. It is a subtle electromagnetic pillar that passes straight through the center of the body and connects you simultaneously with the source, with the cosmos, and with the earth. The Hathors claim that when we are stressed, scared, or sick, this channel contracts and we become disconnected from it. And now, no matter where you are, whether you're sitting on a bench, listening to this in a cafe, or at home lying on your bed, wherever you may be, let's do an experiment, an ancient process, as they would call it in an initiation, which you can do anytime in your own living room. Are you ready? Relax for a moment. Close your eyes, get comfortable. Relax your head, relax your shoulders, relax your neck, relax your arms. Imagine this tube of light passing through the center of your body. Imagine it extending deep down, as if it anchors itself in the very core of the earth. Now shift your attention to the center of your chest. Relax not into the physical heart, but into the energy center, what the Hathors call the Great Transformer. Breathe slowly and imagine how the energy of the earth rises up through this tube, passes through you, and the energy of the cosmos descends from above. And both meet right there in your heart. Hold for a moment, slow your pulse, feel this synchrony. Relax. Every emotion has its own sound signature. This is your signature, your choice. When you suppress fear, grief, or anger, these signatures get stuck in your cells. Like a disharmonious tone, like a false note in the symphony of your body. Now wish for the expansion of this tube of light and allow that expansion. When you are ready, you may open your eyes. So, Luna, how do you feel? What did you sense? How did you experience it? Record all of this on video in your notebook, in the Tevter. All of this is part of your development process and what you have wished for so far. Explore yourself, be honest. How do you continue with these exercises? You can start doing them through sound, meaning allow yourself to do so. Even though you feel tightness, you feel tension, allow your voice, even if you believe you can't sing, allow your voice to make some kind of sound. A sigh, a tone, a moan, whatever it is. Whatever it is, the sound is that tone that rearranges matter. You know it, Valio discovered this thing more than 2 years ago, and it changed his life in a different way. All of this inside us, it really can change. It can influence and take us to places we can't even imagine. When we actively hold this pranic tube, this tube of light, in our consciousness, we literally become the lightning bolt. The chaos of the world may rage around us, but inside us there is absolute stability and silence. You create an intercellular resonance that literally changes your DNA without even knowing the exact processes or what has happened. The moment you feel and expand this energy, the body naturally takes over and carries out the necessary processes as if by a natural law. They call this mastery of the emotional body, because according to them, Earth is a school, a place for mastering emotion, for mastering love, where oxygen and prana allow us to experience feelings more deeply than anywhere else in the universe. From the forgotten stories of Dendera to deep space, to Sirius and the worlds of Venus, the message of the Hathors crosses millennia to reach us today when we need it most. They tell us that destiny is not fixed, that there won't be cosmic fleets coming to magically save us. Our salvation doesn't come from outside, it comes from within. It comes through the sound of our own voice, through mastering our life force, and through the greatest message of the Dalai Lama. The compassion we choose to radiate in every moment, in times of pain, crisis, and misunderstanding. They say your body is the most sacred temple, because it is the place where heaven and earth unite. These are the words of the Hathors. That's their style. And as a civilization, we are facing our most important test. Will we give in once again? To fear, to control, to manipulation, to chaos that is only described as such? Or will we turn to what the ancients knew, and we are only now beginning to remember, activate it, and maybe realize who we truly are? If everything we went through today resonates with you, share this video with your loved ones and acquaintances. But also look for the book, the Hathor material. Join our membership. Every month we do a webinar with all the members live, on camera and with audio, and we share our experiences. For example, this month the topic was dreams, and we even promised to do a second part because there wasn't enough time, because everything is endless. If you're looking for more and more places to share what you feel, send your story to the email addresses listed below in the description. And you might end up right here, sitting across from me, in Reality Explorers, so you can share your adventure, your connection to the energy, your way of applying it. Because that day I was reminded of something very important. A big part of my pain and the problems we create because we're interested in these kinds of things. We know them intellectually, but we don't live them, whatever that means for each of us. My thanks, kind people, for being so supportive, for being so grateful, for reading the book, for the amazing feedback. For me, this is truly a huge gift. After the end of the tour, there will also be book presentations abroad in London. We're thinking of doing 2 dates in Spain this time, somewhere around Madrid or in Madrid. In Germany, tell me where most of you are. Where can we organize it? Contact us so we can coordinate it. Also in the States. God willing, in October, in Chicago, in Las Vegas. If everything goes as planned, you can follow everything on our website nra.bg in the events section. Many exciting things are coming up, but even with all that ahead, it's good to reconnect with ourselves every day. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes. Give yourself that time. And as I wrote in the book, give yourself a chance, allow yourself to do it. Thank you and enjoy exploring the world of the Hathors. If you found it interesting, we can make a second part, this time with specific quotes from the book, with long messages and so on. There are many things, we've only scratched the surface, but that's all for now. Have a pleasant evening if you're watching this in the evening, and have a good day if you're starting your day with this. See you in a moment.